So good afternoon and welcome everyone to the OPWA National Public Works Week Technology Showcase session. After having to cancel last year due to COVID, we are thrilled to be back, even if it's just virtual, and hopefully next year we'll be back for an in-person event. I'd like to send a thank you out to our annual sponsors, and I have a few housekeeping items to go through today. First, this is the first of 3 sessions this week, with the second and third session being held tomorrow and Wednesday. Please be aware that all sessions are being recorded and will be available on the OPWA website. And an email will be sent around to all attendees that will allow them to start the voting. Yes, once again, the votes will be tallied and the OPWA Technology Showcase Project of the Year will be finalized. Polls will close at the end of Thursday, end of day on Thursday, and the winner will be announced on Friday. If you do have any questions during the presentations, please use the question and answer box, and we'll have them addressed at the end of each presentation. Today's sessions are being sponsored by ESRI Canada. ESRI Canada provides geographic information system solutions that empower people, businesses, governments, and education to make informed decisions by leveraging the power of mapping and spatial analytics. These solutions facilitate a successful digital transformation, enabling organizations to better manage their resources, plan their future, and collaborate within and beyond their organization. Now I'm going to turn things over to Bill Grant of ESRI Canada to speak more to this and to introduce the first session from New Tecumseth. Bill has over 30 years of public works and CMMS, AMS experience, and has implemented projects across Canada, the US, and Kenya at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels. Bill has worked for the City of Surrey and the District of West Vancouver and brings this municipal employee experience in addition to his years of asset management and maintenance management consultant and system implementer to ESRI Canada customers. Bill.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Okay, thank you, Brian, thank you, James. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first presentation today, hosted by ESRI Canada, and featuring the work that the town of New Tecumseth has done to modernize their processes for managing their asset infrastructure. The town identified the need to modernize their manual workflows around asset management to reflect modern digital practices. The town realized that new computerized tools provide new functionality and efficiencies that will allow its staff to access the most current data in a timely and flexible manner and provide the information to make better decisions. Our presentation team today includes Lisa Stemmler and Arun Chulliyil from the town of New Tecumseth and myself, Bill Grant from ESRI Canada. I know you want to hear from your peers, so the bulk of the presentation will come from Lisa and Arun. Lisa and Arun have been very active working with the New Tecumseth teams to move the organization to a far more modern, comprehensive, and robust position in managing their infrastructure. The presentation today highlights the work that the town of New Tecumseth, working in partnership with ESRI Canada, have done to modernize the management of the town's asset and maintenance management business processes to address information needs and the mandated requirements of the province for managing assets. For those of you who are not familiar with us, ESRI Canada has been in business since 1994, with approximately 80% of municipalities in Canada using ESRI's GIS system. We are also the distributors and implementers of CityWorks and have a strong, experienced, and dedicated team of 25 supporting CityWorks, many who have worked for municipalities and truly understand your business. There are 2 main business applications with CityWorks. One is the asset management part, that is your computerized maintenance management system, managing the maintenance and operations activities in your organization. And the other is the PLL business support tool used to manage permits, licenses, bylaws, and land management. New Tecumseth is implementing both applications as core business services. CityWorks is a proven solution for asset and maintenance management, with over 70 users in Canada and over 750 users in North America and starting to grow worldwide. This is a great family of users who support each other. When you become a CityWorks user, there is a website called My CityWorks that you will have access to. And there's a forum where you can ask questions, and the answers will come back from someone in BC or Alberta or Florida or Michigan, explaining how they solved a need with CityWorks. And this is a great way to talk to your counterparts, people who do what you do, and how CityWorks supports their business needs. And ESRI Canada supports user conferences where customers come together to share their experiences on how they use CityWorks to solve business needs. New Tecumseth and ESRI Canada have been working together to modernize their asset and maintenance management processes with CityWorks and Aesthetics Asset Optimizer, along with building permits and bylaw case management. A real team collaboration approach. This has led to the project success. The town now has the knowledge to grow and build out the use of CityWorks to all the other departments. Municipalities have a need for managing the maintenance of their assets, tracking the work history against assets, ensuring inspections that are being done to mitigate risk and follow government regulations, collecting asset condition on a regular basis and tracking repair history that feeds into the organization's asset management system. The Aesthetic Asset Optimizer asset management system takes the information from CityWorks and develops long-term budgets for rehabilitating or replacing assets in a timely and effective manner. Being able to visualize these plans on a map allows for an organization to see where projects overlap and can plan to combine projects to save money and reduce the inconvenience to the customer. This eliminates replacement of a water line and patching a road 1 year and then resurfacing the road a year or two later when both projects could have been done at the same time. One of the key aspects of CityWorks is that it works directly with your GIS. You do not need to replicate or duplicate your asset inventory into another inventory system. Other systems may require this. With CityWorks, this is not needed. By duplicating your asset inventory, you increase GIS staff time in maintaining two inventories and wondering which one is more current and accurate. For asset management, a single authoritative asset repository is the best practice. And because we're using your GIS, CityWorks can support the maintenance of any asset you have. The ESRI database can be configured for any asset type, be it linear, point, polygon, and even the non-spatial assets like building equipment and fleet. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Lisa and Arun so they can share their experiences.
Thanks, Bill. I'm just going to share my screen. So Arun and I wanted to talk to you all today about our adventure with CityWorks. And we wanted to focus on our corporate vision and need, followed by our project scope and phases. And then the real meat of our presentation is around the business needs and the technical solutions that we came up to meet those business needs. And then lastly, we'll talk to you about our next steps and our future. Before I start, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about New Tecumseth, where we're located. We are just north of Toronto. Our population is about 35,000. We are a lower tier, and our upper tier is the county of Simcoe. We're largely rural, but we do have 3 urban centers, Alliston, Beaton, and Tottenham. And our major industry is the Honda plant. In terms of our corporate vision and need, we had 3 pillars of need at the time. We started with our asset management, and that need was really driven by provincial legislative requirements around asset management. We needed to have a centralized asset repository, and we needed to understand the conditions of our assets and the life cycle of our assets, and set up ourselves for modeling. We also had an IT master plan, which we wanted to ensure we had a service request, work order, and inspections for our public works and our parks and recs departments. On our IT master plan, we also were looking at a permit/case management, application management for our building bylaw and planning and engineering departments. Overall, when we went out to market, CityWorks fit nicely into all of these pillars, and they had modules that really worked nicely with what we needed. CityWorks, like Bill had mentioned, sits on top of our GIS, and also ESRI had already had a relationship with GM Blue Plant and Aesthetic. So in total, CityWorks and ESRI was a good starting point for us. Our project started in 2019. We started implementing CityWorks AMS for our water, wastewater, roads, and stormwater. So that's all the service requests, work orders, and inspection. We also designed, built, and populated our GIS database with spatial and non-spatial assets. And our asset management plan was developed. And during that time, we organized our data and determined gaps in our asset repository. 2020 was our COVID year. We focused on CityWorks AMS for facilities, parks, fire, and fleet. We built on our asset management policies and implemented our initial aesthetic predictor models. In 2021, we have started our implementation of our building application for PLL. And by the end of the year, our bylaw will be coming on board as well. We're continuing to refine our asset database and our models. And then in 2022, we will focus and circle back with our Parks and Rec and extend their scope and for AMS. And then for planning and engineering, we'll finish implementing our CityWorks PLL. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Arun to talk about the business need for asset management.
Thank you, Lisa. Business needs for asset management. The asset management models was developed by our asset management consultant, GM Blue Plan, in conjunction with ESRI. GIS is the central repository of our asset inventory. The condition of most of our assets were age-based. The good work done by our Public Works Department using CityWorks is used by the asset management through a seamless integration of CityWorks, GIS, and Ascetic Predictor. Ascetic Predictor is a decision-making tool that uses the information from CityWorks to provide some evidence-based decision-making. This is a diagram that shows how information from CityWorks flows into the GIS repository, which in turn passes information into Ascetic Predictor. The predictor comprises of data, model, and strategy. The model uses the data and creates reports based on various strategies. For example, we can have a limited budget strategy, an unlimited budget, or a defined budget. Next slide. Facility, this is a graph and report that reflects our facilities. This is a service threshold backlog analysis report that shows a backlog of all the assets that are poor to very poor and end of life assets. This graph shows that with an annual investment of 1 million, how the backlog would look like in the next 10 to 15 years, and then shows a huge increase in backlog as the investment is significantly low after a certain point of time and needs to be increased. Next. This is a graph and reports reflect our parks and recreation services. This is the state of infrastructure report, which gives a snapshot of the good and very good assets that is shown in green and fair to very poor assets in yellow, orange, and red. The report also shows the work backlog of 11.76 million that needs to be rehabilitated or replaced for parks and recreation. Most of the assets have short lifespan and the condition is currently age-based, and we are hoping to move to a condition-based assessment. Next. This graph shows our roads department. To your left is the service analysis report, and to the right is the asset heat map. The service level analysis report displays the predicted service criteria state at an aggregated level using either the replacement cost or total asset quantity. The asset heat map is a granular report that helps us to understand which of the road segments are in good condition, which is shown in green, and those that are poor to very poor in orange and red. Next. This is a graph reflecting our roads department. To your left is the funding distribution analysis, and right is the asset lifecycle report. Asset lifecycle report displays each asset in a list together with its replacement cost. When selecting assets from this list, an overview of the capital and maintenance cost requirements for these assets will be displayed over the financial analysis period. For the town of New Tecumseth, we have focused on cost of replacement of the asset and have not got into maintenance costs. The funding distribution analysis report displays a year-by-year treatment breakdown of the selected simulation, either by total cost, treatment breakdown, or grouping breakdown. In this roads example, I have used the road treatments like resurface, pulverize and resurface, base and surface, and reconstruction as different treatments that was built into the model. Each treatments are displayed in different colors in the bar chart. Now I'm going to pass on to Lisa to talk about CityWorks.
Thank you. So yes, Arun did a great job in talking about the asset management business need, but we also have business needs for each of our departments within our town of New Tecumseth. So I wanted to talk or start with water and wastewater. The business need here was to really standardize our service request, work orders, and inspections into a corporate tool. Our maintenance group and our operations group were at different points in their journey with work orders. And we wanted to standardize that into a corporate tool. We wanted to eliminate the paper work orders by utilizing the corporate solution and the mobility that CityWorks offered to us. We wanted to track our labor, equipment, and material costs against our work orders and our assets. And we wanted to move the details out of the financials and into CityWorks. And that's because we were at the same time doing a corporate GL restructuring as well. We also wanted to ensure we had the platform to expand our preventative maintenance programs. So I'm going to show you some technology solutions that we implemented to satisfy those business needs. So this is an example of a water work order that was created in CityWorks. And the first thing that I wanted to point out is on the right-hand side, the consistency that we were trying to use across the organization in terms of our templates. You can see on the top here, we have our linear asset templates, and at the bottom, we have our vertical asset templates. And we tried to keep some consistency across not only the assets and the templates, but across the organization as well. This work order here is a water work order, like I had mentioned. And the nice thing about CityWorks is that we can track our maintenance activities within the respective service areas now. So maintenance was divided, their work was divided amongst water and wastewater. And now we can report either by maintenance or by the service areas. That's the flexibility of CityWorks for us. One other thing I wanted to point out is the related work activities down at the bottom. In the work order, we can very quickly see if there are service requests or inspections attached to this work order, which allows a full comprehensive view of the information on the issue that's outstanding. Well, on the water and wastewater area, we also implemented our mobile solutions. CityWorks offers a number of different mobile solutions, and we have been working with 3. So we have our regular office version, but we also have a tablet version which has the full functionality, but must be in connected mode. We also are using the native mobile app, which works offline, is user-friendly, but it has limited functionality. So not only are these mobile solutions being utilized in water and wastewater for our operators, but they are used in other areas of the organization as well. In terms of the business need for roads, we needed the ability to log and maintain customer service requests and report back to council by ward. In the past, that had been a very manual reporting process, and we really wanted to automate that process. We wanted to create and track work orders via multi-purpose devices. So the CityWorks implementation mirrored our AVL solution implementation, and the 2 projects required mobile solutions. So we split the cost and we utilized the same tablets for both AVL and CityWorks. We also required accurate and detailed reporting for major events, such as inclement weather. If there is some kind of legal litigation that we need to follow up on, we have the detailed information in our CityWorks applications to report on that at the detailed level. So just to go back to that council report, this is the example of the council report that we created in SSRS. It pulls the CityWorks data, and it's accessed through the CityWorks landing page. And with one or two buttons, clicks, we can get at the information and we can sort it or filter it by word and have the information for council very quickly. In terms of the business need for our fleet organization, Fleet really implemented quite a few of the modules, but they did require the ability to manage their parts inventory for fleet repairs. They also required costing information on assets, which a lot of the other business units needed as well. And they also required the ability to automatically create work orders based on complex business rules. So for example, a preventative maintenance could be kicked off either at 8,000 kilometers or 6 months, whichever comes first, while also tracking the oil changes every 8,000 kilometers. So it was important to be able to track both odometer and hours depending on the asset. So some of the solutions we implemented for fleet. Like I had mentioned, this is the storeroom module. This is the inventory module that fleet uses to manage their parts. The nice thing about the storeroom module is that it is right in the CityWorks application, and it is a direct link to the work orders. So not only are we managing the inventory, but we can quickly add that to our work orders just by a single click of a button. The other nice thing about CityWorks is out-of-the-box reporting. This is a report that is the costing broken down by asset. And this, again, you can pick your time frame up at the top and get all of that information at your fingertips. And again, Fleet is utilizing this, but so are other departments. It's a great tool. This is a solution for the complex business rules that I was talking about. This is still in our QA environment, but we're very excited about this. The Fleet department really wanted a custom asset reader. It's integrated with our AVL solution, and the readings that are driven from the AVL are captured in CityWorks and trigger our work orders automatically. So in this example, once it reaches 8,000 kilometers, a work order is automatically triggered. Again, we're super excited about this one and hoping it gets to production very soon. Back to you, Arun.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm going to talk about the parks and recreation and facilities. We scaled down the scope due to the pandemic, and we focused CityWorks full functionality for all the recreation facilities. Rest of the other corporate facilities and parks, we only focused on service requests. We hope to extend the work orders and inspection in the coming years for these areas. Our objective of this service area is to reduce the paper and emails, visibility and transparency for the work done by this service area, as most of this work was paper-based or email requests. Also, we wanted to ensure a simplified service request as a source of communication between the departments for any facility requests like plumbing issues, HVAC issues, electrical, etc. This is an example for a simplified service request system portal, which is in the town's intranet and is used by all departments to log in tickets for facility-related and workspace issues like requests for furniture, plumbing issues, electrical, HVAC, etc. This reduces back and forth emails and texts between staff and reduces paper trails. Next. Our next steps are onboard customer service team to attend all service requests, develop KPIs and executive dashboards, integrate our new payroll system implemented this year into CityWorks, enhance our aesthetic predictor models, complete PLL module of CityWorks, develop a resident portal to log in service requests for residents, business, and community groups. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no, that's great. Do we have any questions that came up?
Yeah, James, there's one question here. How long did it take for you to for you to configure CityWorks and get it in use?
So if you're talking, so I outlined in 2019, we really focused on water, wastewater, roads, and stormwater. And with the mobile solution and the aesthetic predictor piece of it, it really did take the majority of 2019 to do that. The configuration phase itself was probably a good 2 months, I would say. And then we had quite a bit of testing and training to do. We had a number of field staff and it was before COVID, luckily. So we did have big training rooms full of staff, teaching them, you know, even the basics, the difference between a service request work order and an inspection, because in our old world, some of them were using service requests as work orders. So it was a training, it was a learning, it was a change management for sure. And that whole piece of it took a full year to implement. So I hope that answers your question.
If I can add a little bit to that, part of our implementation process is what we call a knowledge transfer, because our goal is to make sure the organization has complete control and they're not relying on us every time they want to make a change or add a new department. So in your first implementation, if you take the water wastewater department, it may take a little bit longer in elapsed time because we're doing this very, you know, shoulder to shoulder, working together and you know, getting the requirements workshop, and from that workshop, knowing what the business needs, then you can start the configuration, and then we train and work with the people so that the next department comes on, there's less reliance on us, and then it keeps your expenditures down implementing further.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. I do have one question as well. With respect to COVID, how did that cause you to need to pivot during your implementation?
Yeah, I think Arun alluded to that, where we reduced the scope for our parks and facilities area. They were, you know, closing facilities, reopening facilities, closing facilities. So we really focused on the service requests for them and to get them up and running. And we limited the work orders to the 3 specific rec centers. So we still need to go back and circle back with them. There's still more work that we need to do with the park side and getting you know, and getting all the facilities on board with work orders. But yes, it did. And even the training was difficult. You know, you had to have smaller groups and it had to be virtual, and you're trying to show a mobile device virtually. So anyway, there were some challenges, but I think they did a great job.
No, that's great. Thank you very much. So again, this was new to Tecumseth with their ESRI implementation. Moving on to our second presentation this afternoon, it comes from the City of Hamilton, which is of particular interest to me strictly because I live in the City of Hamilton. It comes in the form of a PACP assessment and decision support system. Ensuring that municipal wastewater collection and conveyance systems are in good condition and proper working order, it's essential to a city's health and welfare. Sewage systems are critical buried assets that protect the environment, sources of potable drinking water, and humans from harmful contamination. Thousands of dollars are spent annually on wastewater inspection programs. The City of Hamilton, in conjunction with NASCO trainer Tanya Stevens of TPS Consulting, developed a logic process that mimics the manual decision-making process in order to categorize each pipe section as replacement, rehabilitation, maintenance, or do nothing. The logic decision tree is developed within the Hansen database as artificial intelligence and is easily mapped thematically within the GIS. Tanya has considerable experience in the process of client information investigations to support asset inventories, condition assessments, asset management plans, and capital planning. She is a NASCO PACP, MACP, and LACP certified trainer and has developed CCTV data-driven performance models for the rapid and effective measurement and reporting of wastewater condition system defects. Now I have to read this next part slowly. She's also certified in the inspection, training, and certification program for the inspection of CIPP installation and manhole rehabilitation technologies. Tanya is also board member for the Center of Advancement of Trenches Technologies, an applied science technologist with OSET in geomatics, and is also the vice chair of NASCO's Infrastructure Assessment Committee. Tanya, take it away.
Wow. All right. Thank you for that introduction. Good afternoon. Thank you to the OPWA for hosting and providing an avenue to showcase these incredible projects and considering our project as a candidate for the Technology Showcase IT Project of the Year Award. As mentioned before, the lovely introduction, my name is Tanya Stevens of TDS Consulting. I was contracted by the City of Hamilton Asset Management Group to fulfill a need for their data management and efficiency. The City of Hamilton is made up of 6 amalgamated communities as part of a single administration in 2001, making Hamilton the 10th largest city in Canada with a population of more than 530,000. Their water and wastewater collection system is approximately 2,900 kilometers in length. Ensuring the municipal wastewater collection and conveyance systems are in good condition and proper working order is essential to the city's health and welfare. Sewage systems are critical buried infrastructure that protect the environment, sources of potable drinking water, and humans from harmful contamination. The city's asset management group develops and programs capital projects, develop and administer inspection and rehabilitation projects, coordinate right-of-way needs, supply life cycle and financial analysis, manage risk and level of service. Major constraints to managing assets are not unique to the City of Hamilton. I'm sure many attending and listening today can relate to this slide. We tend to focus on reactive maintenance or putting out fires. We have scheduling and cost restraints, manpower is required for collecting field data, organizing and managing vast quantities of data, and the man hours to review field data. The city spends 13% of its wastewater budget on inspection programs. However, inspection programs are not limited to the physical field inspections of pipe. 10% of this budget is spent on data QA/QC, data management, mapping, analysis of the data, pipe and project prioritization before a decision is even made on the course of action for a particular pipe section, that the course of action that a pipe should undergo. This manual process involves countless hours of CCTV data review, followed by a general assignment of replace, repair, or maintenance. And all of this data maintenance, processing, analysis, and mapping is performed through various departments and various levels, even prior to engineering design for replacement and or renovation of a pipe. The city sewer management framework is based on a risk decision matrix, calculated by high, medium, and low probability of failure times the consequence of failure. The decision matrix that we have created provides a clear guidance for each consequence of failure and probability of failure combination. The probability of failure depends on the level of condition and inspection technique. So you can see here that with a high consequence of failure and high probability of failure, there's an urgent need to rehabilitate or replace a pipe. However, a low consequence of failure with a high probability of failure, poor condition, we've got repair or replacement is based strictly on failure. Whereas a high consequence of failure with a medium probability of failure, you're programming a rehabilitation or replacement. So we're getting into proactive assessment at this point. Sorry. The city's wastewater assets are categorized into types of inspection programs. Oh, here we go. The criticality and the consequence of failure is calculated by 4 indices based on the influence of the asset's failure on monetary resources, operation ability, and the society and the environment. So you could see here this massive sinkhole that this excavator fell into on Park Street. Park Street is a fairly busy street downtown with a high consequence of failure rating. The city's wastewater assets are categorized into types of inspection programs. So large diameter pipes requiring specialized inspection programs, small diameter mainline and lateral CCTV inspection programs, and then there's the zoom camera inspection programs. Specialized and CCTV inspection programs drive capital delivery. They require quality assurance and are considered critical assets. Routine inspections are performed using traditional pan and tilt CCTV and zoom camera. The city looked closely at their end game decisions. At the end of the day, they built their intervention toolbox that consists of CIPP mainline and lateral lining, panel lining, grouting, spot repairs, which essentially means any repairs not done from manhole to manhole, manhole lining, in situ pipe repairs or renewal, and replacement. So what we did was develop a logic to mimic the human decision on the action required on a pipe from the condition set assessments resulting from the CCTV surveys. We decided an appropriate intervention method based on the individual defects codes and the observations that are recorded within a CCTV survey. It does not, nor should it, assign an action based on the overall condition of the pipe. This allows the city to make a decision based on the worst case scenario. Consider the severity of defects, whether there are structural issues or operational and maintenance issues. Consider the number of occurrences of each type of defect, and whether or not defects are occurring in long pipe sections or short pipe sections. For example, one might not necessarily want to perform a short spot repair on a 20-meter section of pipe. Rather, the best asset management decision might be to just line that short pipe section manhole to manhole. The application also determined the length of each inspection, including reversals performed on the same pipe inspection. And this allows us to quickly QC whether or not an inspection is complete or short, or too short or incomplete, or even too long of an inspection. And these results also aid in auditing the billing of CCTV inspection programs, as well as QA/QCing inspection data versus the quality of the sewer inventory within the city's GIS. So this also helps constantly improve mapping. So the logic allows the city to focus on emergency response, which can include situations such as missing manhole lids, crossbores, cross-contamination, and surcharging. It allows us to focus on assets requiring immediate attention for capital improvement and the ability to group capital improvement into programs, so capital improvement projects into actual full programs. These actions include full length or open cut replacement, full length or open cut lining. And finally, if there are little to no structural issues, which typically drive capital works, the logic allows the city to focus on maintenance programs and maintenance cycles. It also determines when no action is required and the asset is slated for re-inspection. Individual defects and observations are mapped along each sewer section within the city's GIS. This is an example of the results of the custom logic selecting intervention method. This sewer or this survey shows an incomplete CCTV survey due to improperly disposed fats and grease into the sewer. The matrix results show no structural defects recorded, therefore resulting in the required action to flush and clean this sewer section. This example shows that the sewer is displaying significant structural defects with very little operational maintenance defects. It results in a full liner solution from manhole to manhole. The distribution of the structural defects along the sewer line confirm a proper result from the matrix. And depending on pipe risk assessment, the city may decide to perform an open cut spot repair prior to CIPP lining. See, once a replacement or lining is assigned to a pipe section, all cleaning, flushing, cutting solutions are absolutely negligible, as the pipe requires all that cleaning prior to lining installation, or even, it's negligible, especially with replacement. In this last example, excess infiltration in residential areas more often reveal a nearby concealed water main break. Trees in this area are thriving, as seen by all the root intrusion in the sewer section. The matrix results show that cutting is required, as well as grouting to seal those leakage points. So in conclusion, what this simple matrix has done for the city is considerably reduce staff time spent on CCTV data review, data management, analysis, criticality, and determining the required action. The logic screening serves as almost an artificial intelligence. It follows a human decision. And originally, when it was first put together, it produced an over 80% accuracy rate on following that human decision. It is fully customized and editable. So through tweaking and little bits and pieces here being moved back and forth, now it is actually giving an over 90% accuracy rate for the city. There are a few inconsistencies where, for example, the program might be yelling back to the city, hey, you need to replace it. You need to open cut, replace it, open cut, replace it. But that sewer section runs underneath the building, and open cut is just not a solution at this point. So there are a few situations like that where it might be yelling at you for an improper result, but it's just not feasible due to above ground site restrictions. The really nice thing about this logic is it does not rely on human interpretation. So it is absolutely 100% defendable, and there is no intervention or no questioning in terms of why would you pick that result for that sewer section and a different result for that sewer section when they're displaying the same defects. It has reduced staff time by 20 hours per person per month, which translates to the city an annual cost avoidance of approximately $26,000. That's $26,000. It might not seem a lot, but $26,000 a year can add up easily, especially in 5-year inspection programs, CCTV inspection programs. Over the course of 5 years, you have more money to put back into inspecting more of your system or actually getting to fixing things, right? And the application is easy to build on. So if it spits out an answer of you need to line it, CIPP lining from manhole to manhole, via the GIS, we know the dimensions or the diameter of the pipe, we know the length of the pipe, and it's not difficult to add a per meter cost to lining or CIPP lining and come out with a budget for the solution. And that concludes my presentation. If there are any questions, I will take them at this time.
Oh, that's great. Brian, did any questions come up in the chat or in the Q&A?
Yeah, we have one question in the chat that just came in. What were the 4 indices again? Economic, ops, social, and what? What was the last thing?
Oh, sorry. That would be economical. Let me get back to that slide. That would be economical, social, environmental, And what was the last one? Oh, it was financial, operational ability.
And
Society, yeah, social and environmental.
And does this system work with like any inspection? So if I had one contractor doing it 1 year and a different contractor doing inspection the following year?
Absolutely. So it is fully customizable, open architecture. It works like with this example, we built this directly on City of Hamilton's Hansen database, but it's all based off, general queries, and it is completely suitable with any database, any GIS, and it is fully customizable to deal with any standard that you're using for condition assessment. I mean, you can apply the same logic, not necessarily to sewers. You could do it for roads. What would I do if I saw a pothole? What would I do if I saw X amount of potholes? It could be applied to anything.
No, that's great. Okay, I think we've come to the conclusion of our technology showcase sessions for today. If there are any questions or anything like that, by all means, you can certainly direct them to myself or to Bill Brooker. Please join us again tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be doing this again. We'll be stepping into the world of more AI with Hamilton's DriveCam project, as well as a data bike project, actually from Des Moines, basically where they're picking up new assets, new information. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.